Welcome back to episode 6. Today, we're going to be covering one of the most important parts of commercial real estate, the who aspect, learning where to find who you're going to prospect to. Today, we're going to be talking about where to find commercial buyers and sellers. Now, as I've spoken about before, we highly recommend you get to the listing side or representing sellers in the sales transaction process. But once you do find sellers, we also want you to be able to identify as many buyers as possible and grow a buyer database. The reason being, if you can find the seller and the buyer, you get to earn the entire.
Chapter 6, Learning Where to Find Commercial Buyers and Sellers. Once you have a game plan and understand the foundations of commercial real estate and know how to properly value commercial properties, the final step is to know how to go out and actually find buyers and sellers and investors for your clients' properties. Commercial is quite a different animal. As a residential agent, you can literally stand outside your grocery store, say hello to enough people, pass out 100 cards, and you're likely to get some business. The average person moves every 7 years, which means that out of everyone you see, there's a 14.29% chance that they will either buy, sell, or both this year. I like those odds. Now, on the commercial side, the only people who use commercial real estate are business owners or real estate investors. On top of that, many people hold commercial properties for decades or even generations, not just years. So what you wind up doing is cutting your audience down from 14% in any given year to much, much less. You see, there has to be a strategy in place for you to be able to find these buyers and sellers. You need to be able to know the secret knock, so to speak, to get you into the clubhouse of business owners and commercial investors. I help my students build a database of all the active buyers and sellers separated by property type. Even more importantly, once they have their first property to sell, they can find out the 50 most likely buyers for any given property in any given area. I take them step by step how I built my email campaign list. I grew it from 1,000 to 10,000 investors and brokers in less than 90 days. I also show the best practices for brokers and how to locate properties directly, something that will literally double the size of your commissions when you can find both the sell side and the buy side of the transaction. I send out a little over 1 million emails a year, and I take all the insights that I learned over testing that I did to perfect the message and close more transactions. I also practice what I preach. I show all my students everything that I do step by step in great detail. As an example, like I said, I've been sending about 1 million emails a year for the last 4 or 5 years. In doing so, I've closed 5 transactions in the fourth quarter of last year. Out of those 5 deals, I earned double commission on 4 of the 5, which means I represented both the seller and the buyer. I had both the listing and buy sides from it because I was able to find the buyers directly through my marketing efforts. I was able to literally double the commissions for each one of those sales. Suffice to say, it was a Merry Christmas. Think about it. If you spend so much time and effort getting a listing, climbing to the top of that mountain like we talked about before, why not spend a bit of extra time so you can drastically increase your chance of doubling your commission? An action step you can take right now. Here's a little cheat code for you. Every real estate agent, whether residential or commercial, should have a drip campaign in place. Whether you're putting out a weekly newsletter or you're pushing a new property to the market, a drip campaign will get you and keep you in front of an audience for pennies. In fact, the software I use is free for the first 2,000 subscribers. It's called MailChimp, and you can find it at MailChimp.com. If you're just getting started, it's a fantastic place to get going, and it's very user-friendly. If you want to build your email drip list quickly for brokers, here's what you do. Go to your local MLS, pull up a list of all the transactions that were done in your market in the last year or two. Then download a list to an Excel spreadsheet and sort the columns by agent and the number of transactions. I would recommend filtering out anyone who did less than 5 transactions in a 2-year period, or fewer than 3 transactions in a 1-year period. Then download the agent information, including their names and emails, and voila. Next thing you know, you have the most active agents in your market to upload into MailChimp. Now, people might ask, well, isn't that going to include both residential and commercial agents? Yes, there are a lot of options. But what it's going to do, it's going to include residential agents and commercial agents. But the beautiful thing about it is I can't tell you how many transactions I've done with residential agents who don't necessarily specialize in commercial, but one of their clients happens to have a business that they're looking for or looking to purchase a location for. Some say, oh, don't you just want commercial agents? Nope. In fact, I would rather have a list that includes both kinds because there's a certain magic to it. Every agent you know knows X amount of people. And residential agents know a lot of different people from their past clients over time. I find it very, very important for you to include residential agents even when you're selling commercial properties because they too know commercial investors and commercial business owners.